Hey guys, welcome back to Fundamentally Crypto, where I teach you how to navigate the cryptoverse. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a bit of on-chain analysis for Moonbeam with the token ticker GLMR. And we're going to also be recapping what exactly happened after the take flight event. For those of you that watched my previous video, you'd see that we covered different scenarios on what we thought might happen. And so we'll just have a quick recap on what you can actually learn from that token event, because it's likely to happen for a number of new projects in the future. So it's a good lesson to learn going forward. So what actually happened after the take flight token release? So in my previous scenario analysis, my first scenario that I covered was a slow bleed for GLMR up until the 20th of February, and then a wick down on high volume and a subsequent bottom that would be found and then slowly trending up over time. So that's pretty much exactly what happened. And so we'll look at it now on the chart and just learn from this to see, how can this, how can you look at this event and realize that, okay, the same thing might happen in the future, and what were the mistakes you made, and maybe how can you improve on this type of event in crypto in the future. Okay, so GLMR currently is trading around $3, and effectively, when looking at what happened on the 20th of February, which is on this candle over here, so I was following quite closely on the day, and it seems to me that during the day, everything started out calmly, and the token unlock actually happened at 1 p.m. UTC, and what happened is, it was bleeding as we spoke about it in scenario one. So since the token launched, we had that, very high volatility in the start, and then we bled and we bled and we bled up until the day of the token unlock. And if we go into the lower time frames on that day, we can actually see that, so the 20th of Feb started round about here. You can see nothing major happened on the day, from when the day turned, but then throughout the day, it slowly started bleeding from around $3.60 down, 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 and then at 12 to 1 p.m., we just saw a massive candle down, and we dropped from about $3.50 all the way down to about $1.85, and that's exactly what we saw in the scenario. So we saw the bleed, we saw a wick down, see, and then it closed at around $2.60. We saw huge volume, and subsequently that seems to have been the bottom. Looking at it in hindsight, we came back to test it on the 24th of Feb at $1.95. We held it, and since then we've been trending upwards. We had a nice little breakout recently, as since Bitcoin pushed up to about 45K, and yeah, we started rallying, but obviously now Bitcoin decided to go back down, and we're gonna have to see what happens. But from my, in my opinion, I think the bottom is in. Hopefully I don't regret saying that, but to me, it feels like, and it looks like the bottom is in, and we'll grind our way up from here. So in terms of what you could actually learn from this is, I think firstly, don't get caught in the hype on launch. I mean, I know this seems pretty obvious to those of us that have been in crypto for long, but even trying to trade this volatility, I mean, trying to catch it around $9 on the pump to $15, it's pretty irrelevant in the long run, and it can be really difficult and risky to do that. So if you know that a big token unlock is coming, rather just sit on your hands and wait. And if you know that there's a major unlock happening like this for any network, rather just wait and try and scoop up on the day, because more often than not, we'll see that the market will price it in. There'll be a wick down, and you can just catch in and dive in on the fear. So for those of you that managed to do it, well done. I managed to buy at $2, so I was quite happy about that. And yeah, going forward, guys, remember you just want to make sure that you are scooping up these tokens in fear. So when everyone else is in fear, that's when you want to be buying, and not necessarily when, upon launch and when there's just way too much hype in the market. So could we actually see this type of behavior on chain for the token unlock? Well, yes, let me show you. So this chart shows the funds flowing into exchanges for the past 2 weeks. So at around, block 251 or round 251, this is when we saw all the major inflows into exchanges. And it was around this time when the glimmer unlock happened. So what this means is we saw a lot of people send their glimmer in from their MetaMask wallet or wherever else they kept it, and we saw a huge influx into the exchanges relative to historical values or historical means. So this blue line represents the one-day moving average. So we can see that there's a massive influx into exchanges, and subsequently we know that most of these people must have sold their tokens because we saw huge volume on the chart, um, on a red candle and on a red wick. So effectively, these people sent in the glimmer to sell it, and then we know that they scooped it up at those low prices because we saw a subsequent bounce. But since then, there hasn't been much activity flowing into exchanges. I suspect that most people are simply just staking and earning those juicy staking rewards. So this chart shows funds flowing out of exchanges over that 2-week period. So again, from round 251, we could see that by the same token that funds were flowing into exchanges, people were buying, on that day and sending funds out of exchanges. So again, this supports what we saw in the price action where people were just scooping up the dip, which is what you should have been doing, and then sending it out of the exchanges to go and earn those juicy staking rewards. So once again, relative to historical means, we saw a massive spike in the one-day moving average and the 1 week moving average, which sort of just represents that the smart money was buying during that time of fear and scooping up these valuable glimmer tokens. So when looking at the number of new Moonbeam accounts on the network, um, since the network inception, we haven't seen a huge rise in the number of new Moonbeam accounts. So um, obviously, when the network launches, people are gonna open the accounts and buy Glimmer, etc. But since then, it's been pretty average until that token unlock again. We saw a little spike over here at around you know around 251 and onwards, and then again at around 274. So network activity is increasing slightly, as you can see by this moving average, but moving averages. But we obviously know that the network's still in its early phases. So, but it's good to see that the number of new accounts are increasing. But again, this isn't really indicative of activity. It's literally just someone opening an account for whatever reason they decide to do so. This chart shows the unbonding history. So what this means is, when you are busy staking your tokens and you decide to unbond them, usually, why would you unbond tokens? You obviously want to maybe select a new collator to stake with, or you would be sending those tokens to an exchange to sell them. So what was quite interesting is here at around 241, we saw a huge spike in the unbonding history, and we know that this was right before round 251, which is when the token unlock happened. So essentially, what people did was they unbonded so that they could sell on the day and try and increase the amount of glimmer that they hold. But obviously, that wasn't really the best strategy. You likely would have wanted to do it earlier and sell it at a higher price and buy back at a lower price. So um, but again, this on-chain analysis just shows what people were thinking and maybe how you can approach this type of situation better in the future. This chart just shows the unbonding over the past 2 weeks. So we can see an increased activity here with the moving averages rising over the past 2 weeks. But how I interpret this is just simply people moving their glimmer around between different collators. For those of you that have been actively staking their crypto and their glimmer, you would know that it's been quite hectic with the whales moving their glimmer around. So you might be knocked out of the active versus inactive collators. So you may or may not be receiving rewards. That's why it's important to check that daily. So I just wanted to show you guys where I got this information. I didn't get it myself. It's basically collated by one of the collators at stakelimit.com. So this is the same site where you can see all the metrics for the different collators. There's another little tab here that says analytics, and then you can check a whole host of different information like transfers, exchange inflows, outflows, transactions, and just get a better idea, a better idea of what's actually happening on the network. Cool, guys. So I'd say the main takeaway for you from this video should just be that most of the FUD is gone now for Glimmer, and the network can just mature and grow as as time passes. So I think for those of you that are committed to this project, keep going, keep staking, and keep stacking. I think these are still extremely cheap prices, and I really think that for those of you that choose to hold on, you will be rewarded. So don't lose heart and keep supporting and helping the community grow. And lastly, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider subscribing and liking the video, and yeah, just dropping a comment and let me know of any video ideas you'd like me to cover in the future. I'm going to be releasing a remark video soon, one of my favorite projects in the .sama ecosystem. And yeah, guys, have a great day and keep grinding. Cheers.